What Markiplier is trying to do in this video is he's trying to tell people, hey, AI is here. We need to figure out how to make it work for us, for the environment, and do it in an ethical way that doesn't stifle art. And I can respect that and I can appreciate that. But the way the message came out was horrifically. It's very clear to me that he's terrified of his audience in the sense of even supporting AI in general. He doesn't go particularly in depth into anything. And at the end, he tries to promote research for ethical AI, which I think is beautiful, in just some goofy, wacky 2010s YouTube way, which I think for such a serious topic, it just really misses the mark. And there are even extraordinary amount of questions that I feel like need to be answered that he should be equipped to answer, but instead we kind of focused on silly, immature antics. I like the conversation about AI. It is absolutely necessary. This is like an imperative thing to talk about, and if we don't talk about it, we're gonna get lapsed. Let's I'm curious about this. Honestly, it's funny because I started watching this yesterday on stream, but I was like just so burnt out, you know, because my job is so much harder than yours, obviously. I'm just kidding. I was just like burnt out. But I want to rewatch it and give it better attention, you know. It's funny though, because like this is like the stupidest drama of the year, but at the same time it's also kind of important in a weird way, because like it's stupid that people are going after Markiplier about AI, but AI is like such a real like thing. It's such like a real potential threat. It has the ability to be like the greatest thing ever, but also like the worst thing ever if we don't deal with it properly. So that's what makes me curious about it. That's what makes me want to watch it. So let's watch it. He's muted, dude. What is? Oh, I think he muted himself. That's crazy.
Hello?
There we go.
Can you hear me?
Isn't that beautiful?
Get going, and I ruined it. I ruined everything.
All right, let's get out of this stupid filter. I don't care about whatever this meltdown is. It's like a silly little thing that he did at the beginning of his stream. Let's get rid of the color. Let's get to the non. I don't want to say colored, but let's get to the regular part of the video.
I think that I have failed, not because of anything that people are accusing me of, but I think it's because I was always a bad YouTuber.
Whoa, same,
I think that's
dude.
something we can always agree
Relatable.
on. Is that I was never good.
Relatable.
Never in my life have I ever been able to do a stream well, and never will I ever actually be able to do a stream with actual
super relatable for me
skill, because at this point in my life, it's all downhill from here.
Whoa.
Anyway, so let's just forget the whole thing and move on to the reason that everyone's here, which is to talk about how
this type of energy definitely doesn't resonate with me.
Love my absolute, unabashed, unshameful adoration, my everyday complicitness in the rat race that is AI.
Hey.
I confess that I was the first fucking person to be sounding the goddamn alarm that it was bad.
That's funny. Yeah, I know people are really pissed at Ubik for like overly supporting it or whatever. What's funny is that AI isn't bad. You know what I mean? Like, AI has the potential to be destructive to our society because it's going to kill jobs. But AI also has the potential to be great for our society if we could properly legislate AI in a way where we redistribute, you know, we kind of redistribute resources, because we're going to have to. That's the whole point of technologies, that makes things easier. Like, that's the entire point. The entire point of technologies that makes things easier is so all of us can benefit in some capacity, not so that like rich people can benefit exclusively. And so that's the real threat of AI. I mean, there's also other threats as well. There's like environmental threats, absolutely. There are environmental threats that we have to watch out for, because it takes a considerable amount of water to make it. But AI is really going to be like the new calculator. The new calc. It's calculator for short chat, just so you know. So, you know, that's what it really boils down to.
I was the first fucking person to say this is honey all over again. This is fucking honey all over again. I was trying to warn Bob and Wade way the fuck back in time the danger of it, how it was going to be a problem. This was like way back in like 2022.
Well, yeah, it's a technology that's like rapidly oncoming.
Okay? This was, I mean,
like any technology that's rapidly coming, it's difficult to stabilize.
Not that way back. Let's be honest. It's not that way back. But let's be perfectly fucking honest. I was telling them that there was going to be a time when someone could punch in a prompt into a AI and it was going to be able to generate an entire podcast of us. And they laughed.
All right. Yeah, I think we're like a little whiles away from that, but we're kind of close. I mean, if you've seen the videos on like TikTok that are going around, and it's just like people doing silly things, like, yeah, we're starting to get to the point where they're like, we can be replaced by AI. Like, we're not there yet for humans. You can still kind of tell, but it's hard to tell for other things. This is a complete AI video. And I fell for this when I first watched this, right? Like, you look at it, it just looks like bunnies hopping. The lighting is good. It looks solid. What gives it away if you watch it, though, is right here, okay? Look, there's a bunny here, and then this bunny hops in front of it, and it just disappears. That's how you could tell it's AI. Outside of that, like, everything looks pretty good. Like, I didn't notice any, I mean, I'm not a trampoline expert, you know, maybe, but it looks solid. The trampoline, everything looks really good, and it's really scary. So we're not quite where we are able to completely replicate humans, but we are dangerously close. Humans are going to be the hardest, because it's like that uncanny valley thing. So like if it looks like 99% like a person, but like 1% something is off, you go, oh, that's not real. But, you know, this is already, we're already getting there when it comes to like fucking animals. It's scary.
They laughed, and they laughed at me, and they laughed at me. They all laughed at me.
They laughed at me.
You know, did people actually think that I was going to come onto this?
That is true, though. Deepfakes are pretty convincing. I like generally separate like deepfakes. Well, it's a type of AI, you know, but I'm talking about like fully created, you know, ones. Deepfakes, though, where, you know, I could see it definitely as a threat as well. Like, it's just like the face imposed, especially with like the voice technology, isn't too bad. I mean, they're already doing James Earl Jones's voice, which I think brings us into like a whole new problem of like, you know, creativity. You got James Earl Jones's voice. He's Darth Vader forever now, you know, theoretically, but that kind of kills our creativity as human beings. And it's like a little bit of a scary thought, you know, at least to me. You know, we want to make sure we have new people doing different things so that we don't stifle creativity.
Stream shouting my defense of ChatGPT. Now, I'm not saying I'm unfamiliar with it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not denying the me talking about it. But what people seem to miss the context of, because it always comes down to that, is the context of is the vast majority, especially, and I will say, I can't promise at any point I was not excited about it, because as a technological development, there is a reason for some people to be excited about this. And it's not for the reasons that you might think.
No, I mean, dude, AI, like the reasons to be excited about AI is that it's the new calculator. It's a new calc, like I said. It's short for calculator, chat. But it's a new calculator. Like, what did we do in school? You know, you have a calculator. You could do all that bullshit. You know, 1 + 1. I have a calculator. I don't need to think with my brain anymore. But they teach you in school the fundamentals of like how to do math without a calculator, and then you get a calculator, and it's a great tool because you have a fundamental understanding. AI, it has the ability to do that. You know, it has the ability to write code. If you have a fundamental understanding of code, it can like cut your code writing time in half. You write code with it, and then you can review the code and be like, okay, this is blah, 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 go through it. It can help you diagnose problems as like some kind of like HVAC technician or even a mechanic in some capacity. You know, you could type in the symptoms, or, you know, they're getting to points where you can scan things. And it's actually a great tool to be able to utilize for anybody if you have a fundamental understanding of it. The problem is that some people lean into it so much that they don't have the fundamental understanding of it. That's the biggest issue with this technology, in my opinion. You know, you should use it only after you've developed a fundamental understanding.
I'm not shouting that, yes, it's great that it takes up so much power. No, there are serious medical advances, and there are serious legitimate uses to this technology and the research that is being done to it. However, right now, the main problem that we face is that every single company in existence and the governments thereof of the countries that those companies are in are all throwing billions billions and billions of dollars and man hours into building these AIs, which
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. It's a technological race. It's so like, hey, we want to have this, thing first. That's the whole point of that. Of course. I mean, that is a potential problem because it takes resources away from other things. But I don't even think that's the biggest problem. The biggest problem is that it is a significant resource strainer. Like from a water perspective, it takes so much energy just to cool down these computers, and it's disastrous on our infrastructure. For people, it's horrible for them when it comes to like people actually having access to decent, clean water. I mean, we're talking about droughts in a bunch of different areas is probably the biggest issue. It's also an issue that we're not regulating it, and we're not going to regulate it right now because we're in such a desperate desire to be the first that we're not going to do any regulations, and that's going to kill people and their jobs. Unironically, it's killing jobs, and that's a secondary thought. Unfortunately, that's a secondary thought to our government because they're more interested in being the ones to have it before China and Russia. Which, by the way, I'm for being the leader in AI. I generally trust America more than China and Russia's government, but it still could be catastrophic if we don't come up with solid policies,
which are not even real AIs. That's a whole nother subject that I'm going to get to at the later end of this stream. But they're throwing so much money into it that kind of laws and regulations go out the window. And I will say, what people seem to be saying is valid on a conceptual level.
Yeah.
There is reason to be upset by this. And there is reason that as a sort of, I'm not saying it's just a knee-jerk reaction because that's dismissive of the actual claims.
Well, part of it is going to be a knee-jerk reaction. It's a new technology, so it's scary for people. So part of it is a knee-jerk reaction type of a thing, for sure.
People are making, and that's not what I'm trying to do here. The actual reaction that people are having to this is a natural cause of this threat to their livelihood, to their ability as an artist, to everything that they're doing. And that is incredibly valid.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially since AI, when you do AI thumbnail type work or you generate AI pictures, it's basically just parsing the internet and stealing assets from people. It's going through the whole internet and it's saying, oh, okay, someone asked for a dog, whatever, eating a sock, I don't know. So it parses through the internet for dogs and socks and 1,000 different things, and then it comes up with a picture like that. And that takes assets away from other people. That takes things from other people, and it effectively will have it's a push towards the killing of creativity, especially for convenience, and especially for low creative things. YouTube thumbnails are people watch them to get engaged and then they click on it. You're not sitting there and studying a fucking thumbnail. So that's going to be a low, some kind of low intellectual engagement. I do think that we still kind of have a protection in higher intellectual engagement art, I would hope. Although I don't really I would hope it doesn't get adopted into movies in such a way where the whole movie is just some kind of AI slop. Because I like to think that people are still impressed by skill. The reason you go and you watch the opera, you can do that in a computer, but the reason that you watch an opera or an orchestra, rather, is because you have 100 people that are sitting together, and they are very impressive in their skill and their technical ability. And there's something about that, at least for me, that kind of ignites something. Where I'm this is so impressive. Watching somebody play an instrument, or watching a collective of people playing an instrument, or even the theater where you watch people. I don't know. There's something about the way that they're all positioned in the right way, and then there's also old school video games. Even I look at Mario Kart 64, and I'm this is so impressive. They were limited in their scope, and they use 2D assets to make it give you a 3D vibe, and it's these are so impressive. The technical skill is such an impressive thing. I would hope that people appreciate that enough to not kill the medium of not kill art in general.
And there are reasons to be critical of it in the way that it currently is. That doesn't mean that it's entirely, as a concept, a problem, but that does mean that the way that it is being used, with no safeguards and no guardrails in general, is absolutely a problem.
Well, yeah,
and
for
at
sure.
this point, it is very difficult to imagine a scenario where that is stopped and that is halted in any way because
our government sucks. It's so funny, but right now there's finally been bills, and it's bipartisan bills. Both Democrats and Republicans, where it's hey, You shouldn't be able to. If you are a congressperson, you should not be able to do individual stock trading because you have insider information that gives you the ability to make better decisions, and you make millions. This is why Congress people are so like they make millions of dollars. They have like a salary of like $175,000 a year on top of full benefits, and then they make millions of dollars in stocks, like Nancy Pelosi. And the bill was originally called something snarky about Nancy Pelosi, which is funny. But then you see people like Rick Scott. So this is the person that's in the government. I think he's the richest congressperson ever. He's a Republican. He's ugly and bald as shit. Same. And he's best known for, I think, defrauding Medicare and Medicaid when he worked for a private company. So a really good guy is talking about how everybody's just attacking the rich. That's insane. Not to be hyperbolic, but maybe Hassan was right about him. So listen, you know, the government takes so long, and I'm surprised that these Congress people are actually advocating against themselves. You know, and I think that's something that should have been passed. That should never have been a thing. You should be able to invest vaguely, like you should be able to invest in the S&P 500 as a congressperson, right? Like because you don't have any insider information. Like, hey, I'll throw money into some kind of like a group thing that you can't game the system on. But they shouldn't be able to do like stock buying and selling, stock trading, because the information that they have. It's disgusting that you could even do that in the first place.
The amount of money that is being poured into it. Now, thesis statement opening. I goofed.
Uh-oh.
It was going to be not funny at all, and it was not even going to be worth it doing anyway. But I was going to do some stupid goof about it. You all fell into my trap. I'm going to train your chat to train my AI. Okay, number one, this is not even the first criteria. And I also recognize it. I just found it the most egregious from what people were saying is, number one, the thumbnail of this stream, me and Amy were laughing so hard, me making it. The freaking... the hand coming out of his pants, we were like, oh no, if this gets age restricted, it's gonna lose out on people actually being able to hear what I have to say about this. But I get it that the thumbnail,
what the hell is he talking about? I just see the thumbnail as him getting punched or something. Am I like stupid?
It's not the main issue, but I have a certain pride about the thumbnails, and I have my thumbnails here, and it's fine, it's whatever. I will say,
maybe they changed it, I guess, or he changed it, whatever. Okay, that's fine.
I will say, and people are perfectly valid of this. Back in like 2021, I believe, is when was it actually? Let me make sure I know exactly what I'm talking about here. Because the timeline is important, even though it doesn't seem like it is important. Okay, so Midjourney came out in 2022, I believe. And that's when, because I was working with Corridor, and a lot of people get all over Corridor for them, but, that's a whole nother story. And it's getting complicated as much as it is anyway. So in Midjourney, back when it first came out, I looked at that before everyone really understood, because even that was probably my first introduction to generative AI in general. Looking at that, it was so interesting.
Yeah.
And
it's funny because it seems like he's a little bit afraid to say that like AI is kind of cool. AI is very cool. It's very cool. It's just like it could potentially be destructive if it's not regulated well.
I don't think any of us can deny. I'd be hard-pressed if people out there were able to deny that there wasn't something interesting about it. It was a completely new field of what was going on there. And for those who are just joining in, this is all part of the context. So I'm going to start speaking here from a less bombastic, explosive way. But if you didn't see the beginning of this, you wouldn't understand like exactly where I'm coming from here. But I think that a lot of people, or, there are probably some people that definitely not, but as a new technology perspective, it was interesting. So there was a time when I believe, and honestly, people are very valid to say this. There was one thumbnail in particular that I can say had something from there, which is Simulacra 2, I believe. So it was still composited into other things, but I was like, oh, it's good at making nightmare faces, so maybe I'll make a nightmare faces. And I totally acknowledge I haven't even thought about that until this all came up. So I'm perfectly happy to go back, change that, get rid of the thumbnail. In fact, I'll do that after this stream, right? This is all just something that I was posting as.
Yeah, I don't care too much about like AI thumbnail stuff too much. I mean, I guess I don't know. I guess I don't care too much about it. Like I said, it's such a low, it's so low it's like low creative. It's like low creative art. You know, a thumbnail is not something that you like ponder upon. You look at the thumbnail and go, oh, I'll watch that. That's how I interpret like thumbnails. So it's just like, to me, it doesn't fucking matter. I don't care. It's a different from like something like a movie or a show. I don't care as much. I mean, I use AI to like cut backgrounds out of stuff so that I can more easily, you know, make thumbnails for my stuff. So I'm not like, you know, maybe I'm biased, but that's also a little bit different than like generating a picture, isn't it?
As of this morning. So I'm happy to do that. But this is back when it first came out. And since then, any other instance, and there are very few instances in with which it happened, was when I started to realize, and I wasn't using it specifically, I was not using it myself, but there was a plague that was going into these stock photo sites. And that's when I started to realize how bad this was really going to be. And that was in about like 2023, it started to get bad, and then 2024, it started to get really bad. And
I was really scared when I first saw Will Smith eating spaghetti. It's so bad.
I had not been using them for things, but you would get to the point where you would not be able to tell, or it would be difficult to tell. Now I'd say I have a pretty good eye for it, and I think I can tell.
Well, you can tell now. But I really do think that soon it's going to be very difficult to tell. Another year from now, it'll be really tough to tell visually. I think that also, like, voice-wise, it's going to be tough to tell
what is and is not AI. One of the episodes of Distractable that people often talk about as being an example of me supporting AI, which is not, is Caker AI, right? I presented to Bob and Wade images that were AI generated and images that were stock photos. And I asked them to tell which was which. And the whole point of that, and I think what was lost on people, is that was meant to scare them. That was meant to scare the audience. That was meant to translate just how bad.
I think it's okay if you find AI impressive, and like it's a good technology. It's pretty cool. I think it's good. I think there's a lot of fear around it, unproductive fear around it. Like the productive fear on AI is like, how do we legislate this so that it works for everybody? Not like, oh my God, it exists. It's going to happen whether you like it or not. The unfortunate reality for everybody, for artists especially, is that AI is going to happen whether you like it or not. This is just what's going to happen. You're not going to win. You're not going to get rid of it. So stop trying to get rid of AI. What you need to do is you need to focus your attention on pushing for legislation that protects, or that has makes it so that we have a good relationship as a society with AI. Right? Because again, it parses the internet, it steals assets to create images. And so like, how do you protect especially artists from losing their jobs? I don't know if you can explicitly do it in a really, easy way, but I think that there is a way to legislate it away. I mean, any technology in general is displacing jobs, driving down wages. Like, how do you do it? You have to have a conversation where it's like, okay, we need to, I don't know, maybe there needs to be like a paid database. Maybe in order to use AI tools, you have to pay, not just because it sucks an incredible amount of resources out, but because it parses through the internet. Maybe you need to register your art. I don't really know. I don't really have the answer of how exactly you could protect it. I mean, I would just go with a universal basic income that, taxes AI and redistributes that wealth, because it's like really simple and it's basic and it gives people money in their pockets so that they can, potentially artistically express themselves however they want in a more productive way. That's how I would go about it personally, because it's like really simple. I hate overregulation. I do like welfare expansion programs. I just hate overregulation. And so like, that's my simple, potential solution would be that. But that's like the real issue, is how do we exist with this in society?
This could be because of the danger of it, because of how hard it would start to be to differentiate. And that was a year ago. What was that? That was more than a year ago, right? And that is not the first instance of when I was sounding the alarm of how bad this could be. Now, I am not saying that I'm flawless. I'm not saying that I'm perfect here. I'm not even saying that I've done it right or good, but I also believe in my heart of hearts that it is not a time to be hopeless about the individual artistic endeavor. In fact,
I think that being hopeless in general is just you spiral into nothingness. I mean, being nihilistic about things, I think, is one of the worst mental perspectives you could ever have. Just having like this doomer perspective that everything is over and then you're fucked for life, because then you don't get anything done. If you think that everything has just been done and we're all fucked and there's nothing that you can do, you don't try to productively advocate for the right thing to go on for like yourself and future generations, And so, it's really just like, how do you properly advocate? You need to start pressuring politicians to talk about this issue. That's how you properly advocate for this. You need to pressure politicians to be like, hey, this is a fucking problem. What are you going to do to deal with this problem? It can work. Like I said, there's already legislation being proposed to stop politicians from being able to day trade because they have insider information effectively. It can work.
That's one of the things that I am the biggest believer in. And first and foremost, because I'm trying to make a movie, right? And now you have just recently, just in the past couple of weeks, you had Netflix coming out proudly saying that they have VFX that are AI generated, and oh, what a time saving, and oh, what a money saving thing was.
Again, that's great, but that's when you save money and you save time, you kill jobs. You're killing people's ability to work. So how do we deal with that? What do we do to deal with that? I don't think that Netflix should be able to do that unless there's a downside for them, and that downside needs to be money. They should have to pay a tax. You should have to pay an AI tax, and they should take that money and they should redistribute that wealth in some kind of like a universal basic income way, so that like we don't like completely kill and stifle creativity. There has to be something done about that, or we are fucked as a society. Those are the things that we have to do.
I could talk about a lot of things about how Hollywood and the movie industry in general wastes money, but that is obviously disheartening and is the natural result from something that I've been talking about. And the reason with which I have been talking about is the same reason that people are trying to come after me for talking about in the first place. It's to raise awareness. This technology is in such a chaotic, holy shit state right now that you have people sprinting towards it and you have people sprinting away from it.
Yeah, you shouldn't be sprinting away from it. You should really be trying to learn it yourself. Just be productive.
Equal speeds. And there isn't this need to be... All right, let me back up. There isn't this need to be so scared of it, but there is a need to be aware of what you're afraid of. I said this, I believe, sure. One of the things that people, if you've been listening to Distractable and watching about it, especially the past like 6 months straight, anytime that I do talk about it, it's to talk about the dangers of it or how scary it is or how bad it is or how it's misunderstood. And that's not misunderstood to be like, oh, this is such a good thing, you just need to get used to it. No. If people have...
No, I remember Asmongold said something about that. See, the problem is that's true. Like, it is like, you do have to get used to it. All right? You're going to have to get used to it. The thing is that, like, you need to be productive in what that means. Hey, get used to it. What does that mean? It's like if you have AI is, you can compare it to like a bum leg. You have a bad... I don't know if you're supposed to say bum. I don't know. Anyway, let's say you have like a bad leg. You got to get used to that, right? Well, what does that mean, though? You can either just sit there and be like, well, my leg's bad and I'm just going to be in constant pain. Or maybe getting used to that is like using a cane so that you can offset the negatives of what you're getting used to. That's what you have to do. You can't just have a doomer perspective on it. And people, unironically, people like Asmongold who push these doomer perspectives because he thinks that it's really based. Like, he thinks it's really based and cool to be like, haha, fuck you. They need to not really be listened to because they're not being productive. They need to, if they were trying to be productive, they'd be having conversations about how, like, hey, how do we reckon with this technology? And especially, you need to be, and I really don't mean to be rude, but you need to be careful of people who have nothing of any like meaningful value or skill or the ability to function in society without technology. Like, without YouTube, Asmongold would just be somebody like poor living on the system. There's nothing of particular value there. And I'm not trying to be rude. I don't hate the guy, but it's kind of the truth there. And him just having a doomer perspective because he thinks it's super base, like, okay, that's nice. Like, that's really cool for you. But there are people who want to work real productive jobs and don't have, a 1 in a billion opportunity to be a content creator that just kind of sits online and watches other people's content. And I do too. I react to other people's content too. But like, that's a privilege that should not exist, probably. Well, I mean, I like that it exists, but that's a privilege that very easily could just not exist. And then, we'd have to be drastically different. So you want to be careful, people who just like push this doomer perspective to be cool, because that's what they want to do. They want to be like cool and based. It's not cool and based. It's like stupid and it's unproductive, and it's trying to be cool and edgy just because like, yeah, fuck you, I don't give a fuck, dude. You're fucked. Get used to it. It's like, okay, that's not productive.
Actually been listening to what I was talking about, and I get it that what happens is, and I was talking to some people about this, is oftentimes when there's a question about it, I talk about it first because I know more about it. I don't know everything about it, but I do know enough about it to know that it's not what the majority of the population thinks it is. And by knowing about it, people assume that I'm using it all the time and in my content and everything like that. That's not the case, but I know about it, right? Because I want to learn more about it because I know that there probably is a better way about it, right? Okay, so when you come down to me making that a step before there, I will say in Riddles and Rhymes, there probably is a misconception here, but I'm going to give people the benefit of the doubt. Because if you look up Riddles and Rhymes on Google, which is plagued by AI right now.
Asmongold also has a perspective because the world is a scary place. Not saying that's okay. I think he should be more productive and less lazy with his takes. I don't really like a lot of his takes either. Yeah, but that's the thing is it's a doomer, like it's a doomerous perspective. Like, yes, I understand what you're saying, but it's not productive. Like you're not really going to watch an Asmongold video and you're not going to get like a real world perspective on something and be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. You know, like I used to work a real job for like over a decade. You know what I mean? Like I'm not amazing, but I can give you a real world perspective, and I understand I understand like how frustrating like the loss of jobs can be. You know what I mean? I'm not just trying to give you super based, edgy fucking takes for the shit of it. I'm trying to be practical and realistic.
You look up Riddles and Rhymes and you'll see that it looks like it was posted December 20th, 2024. That video is from April 24th, 2023. Or that episode is from more than 2 years ago. And the reason that I say the timeline is important is because I am, you know, I'm a fan of tech. I'm not super into it all the time, but I do like it. I built computers ever since my dad, you know, from a very young age. My dad built computers and he was already around computers. So computers were in my life since I was 5 years old. So I'm a fan of technology. I always keep up with the things that are going on. And at this point, when this episode came out, April 24th, 2023, this was admittedly probably the first time that people after the episode came out were like, hey, I don't know if this was cool, and I don't think that this should be done, which is a good point. That is a good point that people were making. And that is something that I took to heart, which is why from then on, I tried my very best to make sure, and by very best, it doesn't mean like it never happened because there's a Cake or AI video came out, but that was to promote things that I just said before. It was to promote awareness of it and the yada yada. But I tried my very best to make sure that my messaging around it was from an artist's perspective. Now, whether I'm an artist or not is debatable. But at the time, I would step back just slightly before that to the funniest joke in the world. Now, the funniest joke in the world came out in 2022, right? And that was with something called Talk to Transformer. Now, if you remember Talk to Transformer, that video, that episode is fucking hilarious. That video is...
I have no idea what he's talking. I'm not a big Markiplier. I'd enjoy her. Not that he's bad or anything. It just never resonated with me, and I didn't really grow up on YouTube like a lot of other people did, so...
Unabashedly funny. It is absolutely funny because of how bad it was. The language model that was being used for Talk to Transformer is not like the direct relation to ChatGPT, but it is one of the precursors using the same kind of concepts. And it was terrible, obviously. It made that knock-knock joke. That episode is funny. And me saying that isn't me going, yes, language, yeah, AI, woo, yeah, it is. It's funny. And if you look up with Riddles and Rhymes, there's actually plenty of people that were like, this might be one of the funniest episodes ever. And it was for other reasons, and it's not something that I'm like, see, it can be funny. No, it's because at the time it was so bad that you could make fun of it, right? Now it's so good that it's scary. And there is that fear that brings the timeline into focus because there's reasons to be afraid. I don't think there's reasons to be as afraid as people are, but there are reasons to be aware of it, right? And so when you go from that to a year later, and this is what happened with DALL-E as well. Like I made a video about the original DALL-E because it was so bad, right? It was almost impossibly bad, but the technology was interesting. Like the idea behind it was fascinating. You had even before that, like Google Mind and whatnot and all that kind of things, right? So it's one of those things where as you're going through, I'm learning at almost the same rate that everyone else is, right? And this is to say for people that are just joining, I'm still not. a supporter of it.
Isn't that the worst thing though? Is when you live stream and like you're 20 minutes into your point, and then people join the live stream and they're like, you're stupid as fuck," and it's like and then it's like say something that you've addressed already multiple times probably. You're like, dude, we already talked about that. Like watch back through the live. You know, it's one of the funny parts of doing something like this, doing something live, is that there are people that like were missing the context. You know, you just have to hope the people in the chat will be like, hey, he's already said that. You know, go watch back.
Am concerned about it, and I have been saying that there is reason to be concerned about it for a very long time. True. And it's all those things.
What's interesting, and I'm not saying that he doesn't know the reasons. What's interesting is that this is like a lot of pretext. Like, he still hasn't really gone into what the concern is. Like what the concern, and I think he knows what it is. I'm not saying he's stupid, but it just sounds like he's so afraid of his audience at this point. And people are outraged, and I understand why. But like, he's still like preambling. But it's like, yeah, let's talk about like that. Let's talk about the insane energy usage and water usage, and let's talk about basically artist theft in different capacities, and let's talk about like the lack of legislation around it in a more meaningful way. He's hinted at these, but give it to me, baby.
Things that bring people to this kind of almost like instinctive reaction towards it. I'm of the mind that you should know about the thing that is a threat. And for me, number one, as I said in my TikTok, there's no AI in Iron Lung. There's no AI in pretty much any of my regular content. There's nothing there. But I get why people are reactionary about it, because on the subreddit, it was banned. The discussion of it was banned. And that was not my decision, but I still defend the mod's decision to do that, because for people that are wondering if the mod's getting death threats was a thing, it was a thing.
That's fucking crazy, dude.
It still is a thing. And
yeah, I can never play Poppy. Maybe one day. We never know. You know what I mean? We don't know yet.
Part of that is the reason why they implemented the rule in the.
That's the scary part too. And it's the funny thing is I wonder if like however many years from now, if like Asmongold will be worried about technology killing jobs once it could potentially, be something that you could watch instead of him,
First place is because the discussion became incredibly vitriolic. But if there's one thing that I am perfectly fine with doing, it's wading into the mud, right? Because we're all part of the same mud. I'm on YouTube. YouTube is owned by Google. The videos that I make are part of what helped fund Google's Gemini machine. It's why Google search is pretty much destroyed. I'm complicit in the problem, but the alternative is to not make videos at all. And it's not something that I want to do because I enjoy making content.
Yeah.
And the internet.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't just decide to just shut down and not work just because of a new technology, even if it can be bad in different ways. Like, you kind of have to adapt to it. You can't be that doomer about it. You can't be like, I'm just not going to work anymore then. It's not really productive.
It is something that we are all experiencing this on, and you being on the platform is technically, by the most technical definition, complicit, right? And I'm not saying this to be like, oh, you're just as bad as me. No, I have people that watch me, and there's influence, and there's reason for people to be, up in arms about it. But when it comes down to this, where we are in the mud that we're all sloshing around there are things that need to be known. And one of the things that I said before is that there are just huge, huge sacks of money being chucked at the problem all the fucking time. But the discussion is tricky, which is why I'm here to talk about this. And I can be the lightning rod of hate. And I've never minded this. People can say whatever they want about me all the time. I am more than happy to talk about it and defend myself, because I am extremely confident in what I'm doing and the way I'm going. And at the end of this stream, I'll tell you something that is going to blow your fucking minds right out of your ass. But it's something that I've been, I put my money where my mouth is, but I'll talk about that a little later. So I want to open it up. I said that this is going to be a discussion, and I've talked way too much. I want people to ask me things, confront me, do whatever, talk about all this, and get clarity on what is going. Are you going to tell us when Iron Lung will come out? There'll be something soon. I don't have anything. I don't have anything right now to talk about it. Let me tell you, I've pulled more all-nighters than I ever have in my life. And that is a whole separate subject because I just love making things, and I'm very much about the individual's ability to create. And one of the things that I actually, in talking about this, I think I talked about on Go, my favorite sports team, with Tyler, and I talked about it in a way where I don't want people to be too terribly afraid, or at the very least, I don't want people to give up on their individual artistic endeavors because they feel like it's over. I feel like now is more important than ever to embrace the real reason of why people like making things, which is because the journey of making things is so fulfilling.
Yes, 100%. That's absolutely true. Which is one of the things that like AI threatens, right? It threatens people's ability to make things and like fun things that give you purpose. You know, it's not just about making things, but sometimes it's also about like, you know, selling things. That's cool too. When you're able to make something and then people will actually like buy it or they will consume it, that's cool too. You know, like it's nice to make things and it can be very therapeutic. But, you know, it's also, you know what's therapeutic? Money. Money can be very therapeutic, you know what I mean? So that's also a productive part.
It has been so fulfilling for me. The actual craft of it, the making of the things, is the reason that I am driven to do anything at all. It's the reason that I have built a team to be able to continue doing this for such a long time. It's why I am a big fan of seeing people flourish as an artist, and in the career that I've had the privilege of seeing people grow from when I first started my channel and grow their own art and voice, and I've seen it come out there, and I still think that there's absolutely a reason for that. But anyway, I keep yabbering. Let me see. Yes, Iron Lung is going to come out. It's going to come out. Am I getting older? Yes, absolutely. We all are. Every second that ticks by, we're getting older. How's my mom's books going? There's going to be something about that very, very soon. Am I AI? I don't think so. But then again, I guess none of us can really answer that. Do you think there are realistic restrictions on Gen AI and any threat AI has posed? Okay. Do I think there are any realistic restrictions on AI? I think that
I mean, again, I really, for me, like my just general, I guess you'd almost say political philosophy is that I don't know if restrictions are the way to go. Like, I'm not huge into like restriction and regulation all the time. I mean, sometimes it can be productive, but I feel like AI is happening. You know, we can restrict it and reduce our country's standing when it comes to the leader of AI, meaning other countries can profit off of it to a greater degree, or we can kind of let it happen and figure out a way to take it and give it to everybody in a productive way. And so if instead of restricting AI and being like, oh, you can't have, you know, we can't do this with AI or this, you know, if we can tax it instead, I feel like that's a better idea. And then we redistribute that wealth. I feel like that's a better plan.
That the companies like to tell themselves that they are. And the reason I say that is because of what I believe to be the fundamental misunderstanding of what AI is, and why whenever I talk about it, I'm like, it's not actually AI. It's virtual intelligence at best. It's not. Whenever there's an article that's like, oh,
I think I understand what he's saying. It's not artificial intelligence, virtual intelligence. I think what he means is that like it doesn't really think for itself. It parses the internet, and then that's what's thinking. Right, so it's one of those things, and then like, you know, as AI becomes more part of the internet, funny enough, it's like almost this dead internet theory where it's just parsing other forms of AI. Yay, more taxes. I mean, like, it's either going to be more expensive because you hire more people, or because you take money and you tax the technology, and then you redistribute that wealth so people can have jobs in some way. So to be like, oh, yay, more taxes. This is how life is. Taxes. We are going to have more taxes as time goes on, as you have different technologies, self-checkouts, AI, factories. You have these different technologies that are killing jobs and they're driving wages down. As you have these things exist to a greater degree, you need to figure out what to do. And what you need to do is you need to make sure people have jobs. And so you can either force people to have jobs in certain ways by restricting the technology, which is a way to go, or you can allow the technology to go, but then you have to tax that technology and give it to everybody. So like in a universal basic income or some kind of a negative income tax, so that everybody has an access to the benefits of the technology. So frankly, that's how I feel about that. Back to the, you know, virtual instead of AI or artificial intelligence, virtual intelligence. AI doesn't think for itself, or we'll say, AI doesn't think for itself. When you type into Grok, it's not thinking and going like, okay. It's basically using the internet as a brain, and it's parsing through that and going, let me give you a display of information. It's not autonomous. It doesn't have the ability. It doesn't live. It doesn't breathe. It doesn't have like the critical thought. It just parses the internet as if the internet is a brain, which is why there are issues with it, because it can be just like a fucking sloppy dog shit nonsense. And so, like, that's one thing that can make you a little less scared, because it's not like right now machines are taking over. It's just parsing the internet. But you could consider the internet a brain, and you could consider that some way of, critical thinking in some capacity, I guess, if you wanted to, which could be a little bit scary.
So today,
AI is learning to trick the researchers and is becoming a better liar. It's like, that's not it. That's not how it works. That's not the fundamental basis of the science that it's on. And I can say that because the fundamental math and programming that almost all of the neural networks is based on is laughably rudimentary. It is not thinking. And anyone that thinks it's thinking doesn't understand how it works. But the problem is, the way that it's built, even the companies don't understand how it works. Inside the models, which all it is a series of numbers, weighted values that put a random number in and chuck it out. The way that it works inside is so unknowable that even the companies making these and touting and putting their billions of dollars in it don't understand how it works.
Really? I feel like it's not that complex. No, it just parses the internet.
That's why you have the number one worst offender of all these language models, which was part of why on my TikTok I said I'm not on Twitter, because there's a certain language model that thinks it's Mecha Hitler.
Well, yeah, I think Grok had like a meltdown for that.
But
I think part of that was because they removed restrictions on it, so it made it it made it go fucking crazy.
Anyone that's on that platform should probably get off of the one that's supporting the language model that thinks it's Mega Hitler.
I think that they did get that under control.
Mecha Hitler or whatever it is.
How do you think it parses the internet? I don't know. But I feel like I would be somebody that doesn't know, but like the people working on it would have an idea of what's going on. I mean, the only thing that I'm saying parses, like I just learned the word. How is it? Well, why? Because I'm saying it looks at the internet. When I say, oh, but it looks at the internet, it parses. It looks through stuff on the internet. Does it make you feel better if I say it like that? Like, is parses too big of a word for you to understand? Unless you're saying it's one of those things where AI is similar to like GLP-1s. I know that's like a weird reference, but like we know what GLP-1s do. They stimulate your body to produce its own insulin, but it's not 100% known exactly how everything does it. Is that what we're talking about?
That's the worst offender. And that's the one where you hear these stories about the environmental devastation.
They also found Grok was programmed to look up Elon's thoughts on things, whether it didn't answer something. That's fucking insane.
That's the one. That's the fucking one. And I'm not saying all the other ones are good either. That's the fucking one.
Hey, don't bust my balls, Mr. Stein. I'll fucking ban you again.
That's the one. So, yeah, don't do that. Yeah. What was I saying? I was just saying something. Anyway, they don't know how it works. So if there's any safeguards that they have in there, they don't know how it works. Now, Ethan's video. Some people bring that up.
I don't know who Ethan is.
Absolutely. I talked to ChatGPT in that video itself. It was mostly as a bit to showcase how dumb it could be and how funny it could be. But I understand, and I think I started to really understand where people were coming from when even just the mentioning of it or the placing it in a video could become something that people were offended by, right? And I don't not acknowledge that. I fully acknowledge that. But also I'm a goddamn troll. People have this misconception that I'm kind of nice. And so when there's something that pisses people off, I apologize, but also part of me just really enjoys kind of making people mad. I say this all the fucking time, is that I'm not nice, but people keep thinking that I am. However, that being said, that doesn't change any of the other things that I was saying about it, and the things that I have been saying about it, is I want to put it in a laughable state so that people can understand that it's not nearly as smart as people think it is. And I want to use it as a joke, but I also get that there is right now this animosity towards any mention of it. Any mention, even in a comical way. And I think that
it is true. You know what's so funny? And again, there are rightful reasons to be kind of afraid of AI. Right. Again, the legislative aspect, the negative impacts on the environment, how much water it consumes, which could be, bad for just, communities, the loss of jobs, right, around it. But what is very funny is whether you want to hear it or not, your thoughts, and it's usually a lot of 20 and 30-year-olds, your thoughts about AI and how afraid you are of it are very similar to like your parents being afraid of cell phones or being afraid of anything or being afraid of like, radio towers. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Because like, where's all that 5G going? You know what I'm saying? Like, what the hell? It's this, you don't want to think of it like that, but you're getting old. You are getting old. And like your way you interpret AI, which by the way, again, valid in some instances, you're getting old. And so like, because a lot of it isn't even productive. It's not even like, okay, this is like kind of scary. Let's legislate in a way that's productive. It's like, this is scary. Get rid of AI. It's fucking owning things. But just like your parents love their cell phone now, soon you'll love AI once you can see the benefit of it. Hopefully, as it gets legislated productively, gets legislation against it productively.
That people draw relations to this because of exactly what I was saying, is people feel that their craft is threatened and they feel that the future of what they're doing is threatened. And that's a very valid, very real fear. But it's also something that as I've said before, I think that there is more hope than people know. There is a new path going forward in terms of artistic endeavors that is worthy of your effort to put it towards, right? Because that's all it is about, is like, this can be disheartening or it can be motivating. Now, whether this is motivation in terms of like, I'm going to beat the machine, I'm going to be way better than it, I'm going to do that.
No, you're not going to do that. You're going to use the machine as a tool, like a calculator, calc for short. I don't know if you guys know that. And it's going to make you a more productive worker in a good way. It'll be easier for you,
It's difficult to get there because you heard about back in the day when they started to beat chess masters with computers. I mean, people still play chess, so maybe that's actually a better example than I think it is. Like, people still play chess, and people still talk about chess.
Yeah, because chess is boring as fuck. I really don't understand it, but it's because again, people value the skill. They value the skill of the chess player. Nobody looks at a computer that can do something cool and goes, "Well, okay, actually, that's not true." What I was about to say. People might look at the skill and be like, "Wow, it's so interesting. A computer can do this." But if somebody can play a guitar really well, you're going to be so much more impressed with that person's ability to engage in that technical skill than you are that a computer can, simulate the sounds of a guitar just as well, if not even better. It's just a totally different kind of, like, you don't really empathize with the machine in the same way and go like, wow, like I could never do that. Like this person's entire life and their ability and their skill has brought them to a point where they're able to do this. And like, that's so incredible. And I don't know if I could, how do they do that? You know what I mean? How do they do that?
It's all the time. And even though a computer could beat someone at chess, no one really wants to watch that. It's kind of a novelty. I think there is probably a similar thing. And I'll echo what I said. On Go My Favorite Sports Team with Tyler, which is the people that are using generative AI to make art and bragging about it and talking about it all the time.
It's so funny because it's so funny to me because there's like I see edits on my computer. I see edits on TikTok. I see edits on TikTok all the time of and they're very clearly AI edits, which is what's so funny to me because people are like acting like the guy's like acting like he knows, like it's him. I came across an edit and then somebody's like, dude, they should be hiring you to do edits. And he's like, yeah, that'd be so cool. It's like, this is AI edits. It's just so interesting that people will like brag about it and like will take it as if it's their own skill. It's fucking ridiculous.
I think that what you're going to find, and I might be wrong about this, I've been wrong about things before.
I have.
But I think what you're going to find is they are going to get bored of it because they don't actually like what it is about making art. Because making art is about the pursuit of getting better. It's about self-improvement. It's about seeing your own craft get better. And it's already disheartening for people, even a few years before generative AI come out. You see the internet now, and everyone can see everything that everyone else has made. And that is disheartening for people. And many artists nowadays can relate to that. But at the same time, I truly believe, and because this is what I live every day of my life, I truly believe that it is about the finished product. I'm not going to say that it's not, but it is about the journey to learn more, to be able to finish that product. Right? It is about me with this movie, with Iron Lung. It has been such a journey of me doing so much, learning so much. The craft of it has been so rewarding. It's been so painful sometimes. It's been agonizing. It's been, like I said, sleepless nights, more all-nighters than I've ever pulled in my entire life. But it's that fucking journey. It's that part of it. It's the captivating feeling of like being so unbelievably exhausted at the end of it. And then you step back and you see what you made. And that's why I've always said, like in my channel, I've never really been one to shit on my old videos because it was the best that I could do at the time. Right? Yeah. Is this an AI? I guess you'll never know. I guess you'll never know. Well, I mean, I could tell you so you could believe me. I mean, I guess it's up to you anyway. Do I know what my next project is? I will, but I want to stay on this topic. I want to stay absolutely on this topic. I had an idea I was going to talk about. I've completely forgotten about it. All right, next. What is my biggest fear regarding AI? Let's see. I'm not afraid of competition in the video sphere. I'm not afraid of that thing. I think that my biggest fear with AI is that there's the military side of it. That's a whole other can of worms that I don't want to stress people out about, right? I don't want to stress people out about that side. So let's just say that's a fear. We're going to put it over there. We're going to put this just off screen so that we don't have to think about that too much. But I think my biggest fear is that people are becoming demotivated for it, or they're not pursuing their goals about it. Because I think now it's more important than ever for people to have individual artistic endeavors and pursuits. Because one of the biggest flaws of the way that AI works right now is because it needs infinite data. Infinite data, right?
Well, I imagine also works off of itself, which is almost silly. But like it needs infinite data, but it also works off of itself. So part of that infinite data that it needs is like it's just creating information, throwing it onto the internet, and then it's working off of itself and then it's working off of itself. This is so interesting.
It's the reason why everyone's art is getting stolen, why all the literature online is getting stolen. That's why companies are paying people right now to scan books, to digitally archive them so they can feed them into the machine. It's because the way that it works right now is it needs infinite data to get better. And every year, and you've actually seen it start to slow down, there's not enough data in the world for it to go there. And I'm not saying you need to get better at art to feed the machine. I have something at the end of the stream that I'm going to talk about how that's fundamentally a flaw. But I think for the individual, like the artistic soul, it's more important than ever to discover what it is about art in yourself that makes it worth pursuing, right? That makes it important to continue, right? I'm very quiet. I think you need to turn up your volume. I'm pretty sure I'm very loud actually right now. Yeah. So it's one of those things where I think that there's reason to do that. Do you think it should be outlawed?
No, that would be silly because like not everybody's going to outlaw it, and then you're going to be stifling creativity. Well, a form of creativity, you're going to stifle it. But like, no, I don't think that that's the right way to go. Jesus, fuck.
It's kind of a thought experiment question, right? Do I think it should be outlawed? Like I said, there's legitimate reasons that this technology can be good, right? Medical is the primary example of it. There aren't too many that I can think of besides that, but medical is one of them. And it's not to put doctors out of jobs. It's to increase the accuracy and speed with which diagnoses can happen. There have already been examples of certain machine learning models that are able to detect cancers before they even crop up. And everyone knows the earlier you
imagine they might also be able to potentially do surgeries like more effectively with like more delicacy.
Fight a cancer, the better. That's one example of good, right? The bad examples of this even if there, let's play devil's advocate, and this is devil's advocate. Let's say the language learning models could be trained outside of stealing every single piece of literature that was. Like, let's say there was a hypothetical where that language model had to have a team of programmers like putting it together and figuring out how to structure it. And let's be perfectly honest, for the most part, that's not how it works. But down the road in the more bigger companies, it kind of is. But let's say that it's ethical, right? It's ethical. It's trained because people speak to it, and it's trained by data that they buy, right? They purchase it. They make it very specific. It's sitting night and day with a team, with hundreds of people that are just talking with it, typing with it, and it's made as ethically as you possibly can. There is value in that. There is value in that. And I don't even think that that is impossible right now. It's not what the companies are doing. It's definitely not what the companies are doing. But let's just devil's advocate and say that that was valuable. Should it be outlawed? Do those benefits outweigh the damages?
Again, it's not even a question of if it should happen or not, because it will never happen around the world in a way that will be good. Like, it's something that you're better off trying to develop this technology, especially in a country that like maybe cares about its people in a more productive way, so that like we can put laws around it after it's implemented and redistribute the wealth in a productive way, right? Like, you're much better off doing something like that. You're much better off figuring out something like that. So like, let's say a Western country does do these robust things. That would be a much better idea, because then you can implement laws. Whereas like other countries, like China, they don't really care about their workers too much. They don't care about their workers too much. They're not going to have an incentive to actually redistribute it properly, right? So like that's the better idea. Develop it here, redistribute it properly here.
It's kind of that hypothetical question, because we all know that it won't be. And it won't be because even if it is outlawed in one country, let's say the United States, it will be the government will still make their own, even in the United States, especially in the United States. All that defense money, especially in the United States, right? But other countries as well, they will develop their own. It's a complicated question that has a lot of variables, more than I am ever qualified to answer. Therefore, that's why I say like it's something that you could discuss. It's worth more discussion. It's worth more insight into than I can provide in this video right here. I am not an authority on AI either, right? I am not an authority in saying it, whether it's good or bad, because I don't have a degree in it. I don't even have my engineering degree. So actually,
wow, you're not like Mudahar then, huh?
It's an interesting place for me to be coming from an engineering background into a more artistic profession, I guess is what you could call it. Yeah. This ain't important, bro. Give us a taste of Iron Lung. I want to so badly. And let's, I want to say, if people were more up, and this is, people are going to be up in arms about it, but if people were more up in arms and saying that I was using AI in Iron Lung, I was ready to come with behind the scenes of all the
I'm always ready to come.
Painstaking, beautiful art that both the set design.
Is this the same technology that he uses as Pirate Software uses to like bass boost his mic?
And Anna in the.
I remember people were giving me shit because I made fun of Pirate Software's voice, and I saw the old clip where he speaks like normally, and some people were saying like no, he has he had another puberty or whatever. Which I think was his argument. But then the people are like, well, don't you know how microphones work? And it's like, well, I don't bass boost fucking on my microphone, so like, yeah, I guess I do. I don't know. Is that your argument that he's using technology to make himself sound bigger or cooler?
Art department and the makeup and all the incredible practical effects that were done in the movie. I was ready to come and even spoil some of the behind the scenes, because I was just like, I am not going to let you want to talk about funding the arts. I fucking love what the team was able to bring into Iron Lung. I love all of the incredible passion and work that went into like just the craft of it. There's nothing more beautiful to me than seeing artists at their best. And this is where where people would be frustrated, because they see one thing that people are saying, And they know this about me. And I love that about people. They know that about me, that I love the arts, and that clashes. And in their head, they're like, how could he betray it? But, you know, it's always more nuanced than that. And there's much more context that is being missing in there. But I love and respect all the work that they did. And right now, with all the stuff that's been going on, one of the biggest issues is with the VFX of it. And with the VFX industry is in an upheaval right now. Companies are losing, like VFX companies are losing jobs, including the one that I usually work with, for multiple reasons. But one of them is because a lot of Hollywood movie companies are exploring this world, especially with that Netflix article that came out about replacing the hard work that VFX artists do with AI. And it's just not fair. It's not fair. So I'm their only customer right now. So, and I'm not saying, like, oh man, this sounds bad. I'm not trying to brag about that, right? But it's like, I want the movie done and I want artists to be able to do it. And one of the reasons why I built a render farm, which people misunderstand, but I won't get into too many details about that, is because it needed to be done. Like, there was no other way for me to do it. I had to learn a lot. And that's another reason that I really liked it, is like, I learned a lot. Nah, you're not going to get me. You're not going to get me. I'm not going to share spoilers about Iron Lung, you said. But it's hold on. It's coming. The accusations of you promoting an AI image winning an art contest because it was interesting. It was a Power Wash Simulator video with MatPat. I don't remember that specific. Oh yeah, I do actually. I do. Hold on one second. Power Wash Simulator MatPat.
Should
right.
lock onto the top.
Okay.
That'd be great.
So I would say totally valid. And I would say it was interesting. It was interesting. Not in like a, oh my God, it's fascinating. And what's funny about this is, again, this might be a dating thing. People might have seen that when it got uploaded to that Spotify feed for Power Wash. That video with MatPat, I'm looking right now, is from September 6th, 2022. Just about a little less than 3 years ago now. And this is what I'm talking about, is like how long I've been talking about this changing the artistic world. So I'm sure I did. I don't remember exactly what I said. I might have been really excited about it. I certainly might have been. I'm not denying that in that video. I'm not going to be like, I hated it then. It's 2022. That was back when it was first getting started. When it was, to me, it was an exciting new venture. That was
yeah, and it wasn't developed enough for people to think of it as a threat. That makes sense.
Before the nightmare started to really emerge. And I think actually me talking about that, again, I don't remember exactly what I said, but I'm willing to bet the reason that I brought that up is because I was probably talking to him about the rapidly changing climate with which art is morphing. And it was less about like a, wow, look at this, everybody should use this. More like a, hey, everybody be aware that this happened. You know, it's interesting, but this happened. And more of the time when I'm talking about something like that, it's because, oh, look at that. But it's 2022. So I can't say that I was immediately informed in my opinions about how quickly it was going to destroy everything. But that's an indication, because at the same time that this was happening, I was talking to Bob and Wade being like, hey, there's going to come a time. It's going to be a problem. You should be worried. And they're like, oh, no. I'm not trying to throw them under the bus, because this is what everyone thought. Like, most everyone thought this. But I was right fucking there in front of the whole thing, being like, oh, it was the thing. It was the fucking thing. Look at the thing. This could be a problem. People called me crazy when I called it honey. People didn't trust it. I didn't like it. Didn't trust it. I didn't trust it. Yeah. Anyway, hi. Yeah. Just like, okay, it's not exactly like honey, but it's kind of like honey, right? You know, I'm not always right in my predictions. I've made some, well, okay, I won't say that. Maybe every prediction I've ever made is going to come true, and it just hasn't happened yet because of the time in with which it can take it. Yeah. Okay. Can you discuss the environmental impact comparing AI usage to almond farming?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's basically the same, isn't it? Almonds require a considerable amount of water. It's a big problem in like California, where they have frequent droughts, right? And so AI does too. It takes a lot to cool the technology. It takes a lot to like cool down the technology, which can be catastrophic for local, I guess you'd say like people. I was gonna say wildlife, but like not even fucking wildlife. Like actual people. It can be like really catastrophic for like your average person, which is like a huge issue potentially.
I'd have to know what almond farming. I think I've heard like it's like a gallon per almond. So yeah, I could.
Is it a gallon per almond? Yeah, it's a lot. I was just looking at it the other day. Yeah, it is like a gallon per year. Apparently that's like everything. The water footprint, which includes the water to grow the almond itself, as well as the water used for the almond fruit, which is interesting. What an almond fruit looks like. And the fruit is also used to feed animals. So there's like some, I guess, energy conscious stuff.
Can talk about that. So, people have very valid concerns because they hear very true stories, I want to say, about how AI is polluting towns. What people don't know is how that connects, right? So there's a misunderstanding, and I'm not saying I don't think this is not invalidating anything that anybody has concerns. This is not like absolving the environmental factors. This is a problem, right? So the almond comparison comes from data centers' water usage, right? And so people don't often know why that water usage is part of it. But the reason the data centers use water is because they use evaporative cooling, right? There's so much computing power in these data centers that cooling them is the biggest issue that they have, besides the power. Now it's power and chips and whatnot, but let's just break it down a little bit. They use water because they evaporate it. And you'll get people, I don't know the full effects of this, but people will be like, oh, it's evaporating water. That's what happens all the time. There's a whole thing about taking water from freshwater sources to use for this stuff. And that is where the environmental impact of taking water from, because there are drought-stricken areas where some of these data centers are. And if they're taking...
Well, yeah, especially in California. It's like the tech center of the fucking world, so...
Well, the fresh water, it's not an unlimited supply. It has to rain or ice has to melt for it to get the fresh water. I don't know the full science of it, but that's where people's concerns with that comes into play. I don't know enough about it to have exact details about it, but that's why people are concerned. And that was a concern even before AI was a thing. The thing with Grok and Mecha Hitler, is a power issue. That's less about the cooling. That's about power generation. The reason, and very valid reason, that it is actually polluting a town is because they have, I believe it's 37. Can someone confirm that? Is it 37 gigantic like gas generators? Or I forget what exact type of fuel it is, but it's a carbon burning fuel. They have 37, maybe more, honestly. I have no idea. But I think the number I heard last was 37. Yeah, 30. Okay, someone confirmed maybe that was 37 or 35, 67. I wouldn't be surprised if they increased it, but let's just say 37. They have all these gas generators that are burning because they need power, because they built that data center so quickly in the place that they could that they needed more power. And so they trucked in gas generators to be able to burn and make energy for the data center because the power grid wasn't able to keep it. And so,
oh, right. That's another point. I totally forgot that. Like it sucks power from power grids as well. I imagine that the gas generator thing is like a temporary thing. And which makes sense to me. And like you'd have to implement like a longer term solution where you would want to like have more sustainable energy. And it's so interesting because right now there's a lot of scare about nuclear energy, which is still probably one of the best forms of energy that we could really invest in. And it's because like people are afraid of like, nuclear, the nuclear stuff. They're afraid of the nuke stuff. Which is understandable, but I think that overall the fear is kind of not necessarily super warranted. I mean, like it's much more reliable than I think that people realize. It's much less dangerous than people realize. There's much less waste. It's much more efficient,
So all of that burning all the time is literally polluting the immediate area next to it because it's everything. It's all of that. That is perfectly valid. 67. Is it 67? 37. 67. Was that the gas of 87? Yeah, something like that. Either way, a lot. I don't know how big these are, but we had one for iron lung. There was a reason, because we needed to have a hydraulic, like thingamabob, you know, because iron lung is a sub,
You know,
and so
thingamabob,
we're having it go.
for sure.
So it's a gigantic hydraulic. We needed one of those just to power the hydraulics to get there. And let me tell you, that thing burned gas like a goddamn beast. And that was probably a small one. These things are as big as tractor trailers, and I'm sure that's what they have, right? Okay. Oh no, did I get memed? Oh God. Not me. Not me, Markiplier, getting memed. I've never experienced this before. How could this happen? Oh, okay, whatever. So, Mecha Hitler. I'm not going to elaborate on Mecha Hitler. Look, you gotta learn. You gotta look some things up yourself if you want. If you want to stay a little more informed, you gotta stay. Oh, this is Topo Chico.
A wind turbine circumciser is fucking preposterous, Willow.
Do I think AI and real will become indistinguishable? Sure, probably. But not with this version of it, right? And that's what people need to understand. This version of it is not going to make what they call AGI, which is like artificial general intelligence. No matter what they say, no matter what they're talking about, it's not. Because that's not how it works. It's just not how it works.
What does he mean by what does he mean by AGI? I'm assuming it's another fear that people have. Adjusted gross income is not what I'm talking about. Let's see. Artificial general intelligence is a hypothetical type of AI that possesses human-level cognitive abilities, including the capacity to learn, reason, and solve problems, and adapt to new situations across a wide range. Oh, yeah. I mean, that makes sense to me, because AI doesn't do that right now. AI uses the entire internet as a brain. It parses the internet, you know. Sorry, I used that word so many fucking times here, and I got yelled at for it. Right, and so the internet is basically its brain, and then it basically plays off of itself as it parses through the internet or creates things off the internet. Like if it's an image generator, it's looking at a bunch of images on the internet, and then it puts a new image on the internet, and then it, you know, looks through that, it calculates that image, it parses through it. But it doesn't have the ability to have like critical thinking skills. But even when you do the when you chat with an AI, that even references material that's already on the internet, you know. So to some degree, I don't think it is. I mean, whether it has the ability to have cognitive functions or not is almost entirely irrelevant to me, because it's one of those things where like it emulates that, like by having with the conversations and the image generators and the videos, it emulates that. It has this huge database to draw on, so it doesn't think in an intelligent way, but it just uses the information that it has, and then it makes a thing happen. And I don't know if there's too much to distinguish the difference between that, because this is one of the things too, not every person and a human being has cognitive abilities. I would say most people are super smart. Most people just kind of exist. And if we get into a really deep philosophical conversation, no individual has any. We have no guidance over ourselves. We are a combination between our genetic and environmental factors, right? Like we have a particular genetic code, and we're born into an environment that we have no control over, and we learn things in that environment, and then we interact based off what we learned in the environment. And so maybe people who are more critical thinkers might have a more complex system to get from point A to B to make a decision. But at the end of the day, you're going to make that decision, and it's probably also going to be predictable to some other people, but not even necessarily to other people, to yourself, right? You know, like if I'm getting really angry and so my reaction is to punch something, you know when I get angry, I'm going to punch something. But if I start going to therapy, we've introduced a new environmental factor. I might not punch things anymore, right? And so like that to me is what this AI is. It's almost the same thing as a human being. We're a collection of information. You know, those information is experiences, and we like to think that that's different than AI, but it's not. And so, like, this is the same thing, right? This is effectively, to some degree. I mean, maybe I'm a little off, but this is effectively the exact same thing. The artificial intelligence, the way that it works, is like the same as the way that our brains work to some degree, I think.
They need more research into newer ways of making artificial
And
intelligence.
soon, guys, we're going to have AI girlfriends and boyfriends. And then we're going to have a new conversation of, is it cheating if you have sex with an AI robot? Is that actually a person, you know? And then if you kind of install the ability for that thing to get pregnant, what do we do then? You know,
Intelligence before they're ever going to get to that. So the way that it's currently working, the way that people are throwing money into this, and again, this is me not being an expert in the field, but I know an expert in the field, right?
shit.
I know an expert. Oh, goddamn clankers with their lubrication and their.
It's so weird to me that like when people say clankers, it makes me slightly nervous. Like, because I know it's just like it's a meme. It's like a meme from like Star Wars shit. Like they call like the droids clankers, but for some reason it makes me nervous. I don't know why. I have no idea why, dude. Just no fucking clue why.
Rust bucket, those rust munchers. Goddamn,
Rust muncher. Oh my god.
Look, I'm on.
Oh my god.
I will be unapologetically racist towards robots. God damn.
How do I get out of this?
All right, anyway. I can't say that. I think I can. If there's one thing to cancel me about, you call me out about the book. You call me out about that, you okay? You call me out about that. All right. Okay.
All right. It's not that funny. Relax.
All right. Moving on.
Stop laughing. Don't laugh when I laugh.
Okay. All right. No, back on this. This is serious. We're making good progress here. All right. This is serious. What I was saying was the way that it works right now is I don't believe that it's going to reach that point where it will match real free will that we have. That's a philosophical debate that I'm also not qualified to talk about. But it eventually, sure, I do believe that it could happen. I believe that there's a lot of improvements to be made with it, but, we're just not there yet.
Love him. Let him laugh. Listen, guys, I don't dislike this guy at all. He's interesting. He's a smart guy, and that's what I appreciate. You guys appreciate loud noises and bass boosts. You guys are losers. I'm not a loser, okay? I like smart people, or people I think are smart, because I'm stupid. Okay, but like I have no. All jokes aside, I don't have any like like I don't know. I've never watched this guy when I was younger. I'm probably older than this guy. I have no. How old is Markiplier? I can't even spell his fucking name. Yeah, he's 36. He's a year older than me. Like I don't have the I don't have the nostalgia goon on it, so I'm not like, oh my god. It's the same thing with this game. Like I don't have the nostalgia for like Markiplier. I like him. I enjoy his video. I don't have the nostalgia there to like him, overly like him. Right? You guys, just like this game. Like for instance, I've been playing Kingdom Hearts 3. If you have nostalgia, you're probably like, man, Kingdom Hearts 2 is like the best, or Kingdom Hearts 1 is the best. When the reality is that so far this game is by every objective metric better than Kingdom Hearts 2. It's probably so far this is the best Kingdom Hearts game that they've created. This is objective metrics. This is not subjective nostalgia metrics. And the reason for that is because this game skill scales so much better. Kingdom Hearts 2 was a shit show where for the most part, playing it even on the highest difficulty, you didn't have to really think about your inputs except for like 2 fights, which was like the Riku fight and then maybe a couple other boss fights towards the end where you had to start. Riku fight was the hardest one. It was the most fun fight, by the way. It was the best fight, by the way, in that game. But like it went from being like dribble nonsense bullshit. Riku fight, all of a sudden you have to pay attention. You have to start like actually using inputs and mechanics correctly. This game is skill scaling better. I'm dying more often in the beginning, which I think is a good thing because I have to learn how to do certain encounters. And so, for all the Kingdom Hearts 2 copers, this game is better. Kingdom Hearts 3 is so far a better game. It's a better displayed game so far. So I'm sorry if that upsets you, but I'm always right about everything. So it's like that's probably the worst part about being a Papa God fan is that you're dumb.
I will be.
What the hell am I supposed to do here?
Yeah, you can quote me on that. Look, if you're gonna clip me for anything on this, you can clip me for that.
What do I do here?
Excuse me. All right. Okay. Oh, sorry.
Do I block?
Guys, focus. Why doesn't Lixian just blow up AI? That's a good point. I don't know why Lixian, can you? This is a live stream. He's not going to be here. Someday, I want to be able to figure out how to get Lixian's Lixian in here, not Lixians. Not Lixians. That's not what I was talking about. Lixian in here, but not as. Moving on. Next question. Yeah. Just got here. What I missed? Man, you missed everything. You missed absolutely everything, man. You missed everything. Yeah. So I basically have covered a whole bunch of subjects. And it's been a long discussion, even though we haven't been streaming that long, but I think we've covered a lot. But I want to get more people asking questions here. I want the AI age verification update. Oh, I've heard about that. The thing where you have to not only move your face around, but open your mouth. I think that's bizarre. That is truly bizarre to me that is the verification method. Now,
my understanding it's not the only one. Like, you could have a credit card linked to your account or whatever that has, like, I guess your name or whatever. It's not just doing that. It's interesting though.
I don't fully understand it. Someone might have to get me something to learn more about it. I only just heard about it like today as well. It's just one of you missed robot racism. Yep, you actually did that. So yeah, there's I don't know where this. It's all stemming from, I believe, COPPA, COPPA, which is a whole thing why YouTube split a part of it off to make YouTube Kids, but I don't fully know why. And I don't fully know how. And I heard that it's just bizarre. It started from Europe, people were saying. Yeah, something about that. So I have no idea. Yeah, I can't say anything about that. Yeah. As usual, I'm like, don't worry about don't donate anything to me. I never read them because it doesn't need to be.
Okay. I guess that's fair enough.
What's your pick? Stop moving so fast. Can AI?
don't donate to me because I never read them. It's funny. I always read them, guys. I'm so much better than him. No, I'm just kidding.
I help your.
I feel like if I had an audience that big, I'd probably struggle to read donations too. So
render farm.
Well,
okay, no,
I would just use AI to do it.
It's not how. This is not what it's about, right? So the render farm, actually, what's funny about it is, I have the render farm.
Can I go in?
Because I want to not do that. The AI, right? It just so happens that the equipment to do it, to render visual effects and also train and use AI, it's the same equipment, which is difficult because it makes getting it for the VFX harder because everyone's buying it for that. So the prices go up. So I have to go on eBay. And that's why I was known as the Lord of eBay on Distractable, because that's what I was doing. People might have been thinking that I was getting that to train my own language model. I don't, and I didn't. And one of the biggest issues with that is I put it all in a bathroom, right? So that bathroom got real hot, which is also a problem because the power draw was incredible with this stuff. I got a small snippet of it, but these data centers are miles, literally miles bigger than what I was dealing with. And still, it was overheating. So I actually switched out a lot of hardware. I sold a lot of stuff, and I tried to salvage as much as I could, but I switched over to a much more power efficient Mac systems because, and I'm not saying like it's any better, but Mac studios are infinitely more power efficient than full computers with like regular processors and GPUs. They're so much more power efficient. They're not as powerful, but for what I was doing and the kind of like distributed simulations that I was running, it worked, right? It still worked. And man, my solar panels were actually able to keep up with some of the power draw. Like when it's working throughout the day and the sun's shining, it's net zero power draw. It's great. It actually is saving money, saving power. It's freaking fantastic. So, but no. I'm not training models on a Mac. I'm not training models at all. That's the misconception that people have. I'm not making AI models. That's not what I'm doing.
Yeah, he's making AI porn, guys. What?
I'm making sploosh kaboom.
What'd I say? What did I say, guys? He's making AI porn. I told you. You guys don't want to listen to me, but you guys are losers. You guys are silly little gooses.
Making visual effects in my bathroom. What's crazy about that? I'm making visual effects. Oh wait, I missed another one. Oh god. Do I know the consequences of AI use? Yes, I was talking about it. Go back to the part where I was talking about mecha.
What did I say before? What did I say before, guys? Like he it's so annoying when you're doing a stream and you're like referencing everything, and then people jump in at the end and are like, did you reference this thing though? And it's like, okay, dude, go back and watch the fucking stream, you know?
Hitler and Grok. Go back to that part because I was talking about it. And if anyone is just jumping in here, I'm on your side. I'm on your side, but I'm more of the alignment with the awareness part of it. The awareness is important. And I think that the gut reaction to hide, I can understand it, but also I feel, and I'm not saying that people are hiding from it. That's not what it is. I get the...
they're just trying to like close their eyes and not look at the... It's like when you get hit with a stick or something, where you stub your toe and you don't want to look at it because you're like, if you look at it, it becomes real to you. It's like you still have a cut or you don't have a cut, whether you look at it or not, but it's like not real to you yet. That's what people are doing with AI, basically.
Wanting to boycott it. I understand that. And I think that there is something to be said about that. However, we're all up against these giant mega corporations and they're not going to stop. But that doesn't mean it's hopeless. It was another part of this stream that I talked about how it's not hopeless. All right? Okay.
Is it a booty hole?
I don't use ChatGPT anymore. I forgot to mention that. I don't use it anymore. I can't entirely say that it was out of selflessness, but I don't use it anymore because it was dumb. It was fucking stupid, and it started to piss me off. And then I started to think about it, and I was just like, God, this is such a pain in the ass. Yeah.
I gotta remember to ask if Papa could cover the Markiplier air drama at the end of the stream. Yeah, that'll be fucking amazing. Please ask me that question.
So that's what I'll say about that. I think that... See, this is the thing. This is the thing that people seem to misinterpret about it. I'm not saying I never used it. I'm not denying that I never used it. I would be completely hypocritical if I said that I never used it because I found the technology fascinating. But I'm also not going to say like it's entirely the thing. I haven't used it for months. It's
so interesting. It's interesting. This conversation is interesting to me because what he's saying is very intelligent, but he's afraid of people. He's afraid to use AI now because of the backlash, not because it's not good, but because of the backlash that people would give him. But like, yeah, I think it's okay if you use AI. I think it's okay. I think that like, you kind of are going to have to if you're not using AI, if you're not learning AI. Especially if you're somebody that's not rich, like Markiplier, like you're probably going to inhibit your ability to learn, or your ability to do, right? Because like, yeah, it's kind of like a big fucking thing, man. But it's so interesting how like afraid, it's like how afraid of it he is, in the sense that he's afraid to tell you that he uses it.
Yeah. I can't say that
or he's almost been shamed out of using it at all. And again, I know that there are negatives, but it's just so interesting to me.
Never used any other language model either. But it's just like, it's the limitations of it. And the diminishing returns are bad. And then the environmental factor is bad. And it's all a big rat race with Grok trying to be the best. And that's what I keep saying about Mecha Hitler. And I'm not saying it's Mecha Hitler. Grok said it was Mecha Hitler. Grok! So that's what it is. Yeah.
You know, it's so funny though. I feel like we're at such a, this is like so random, but we're at like a time where people really don't care as much, unfortunately. Oh, hey Mickey, about Jewish people. It's so fucking crazy. And I know part of it is like Israel's government is shit, and people are frustrated with that, and some of those frustrations come out onto Jewish people, and I don't think it's right. I can kind of understand it, but it's not right. But like nobody cares. Like for instance, this is gonna sound like silly, but like Joey Swole follows Myron Gaines. Myron Gaines is a very outspoken public anti-Semite who thinks that Jews control the world and are the entire problem with the world, which is obviously ridiculous, right? Like Myron really just is pushing a victim complex, because he's an uninspiring loser. But like people like Joey Swole follow him, and I don't know why. Maybe he just doesn't care about all the anti-Jewish stuff, or you know, all the rape apologia that Myron Gaines engages in, or you know, being best friends with anti-Semites. I really don't know why. But it's like so normal. People don't really care. It's fucking crazy. And it's just, it's very strange.
Yeah. Oh, I don't read the donation because I don't want people donating money to me. Because I'm fine. Yeah. Yeah. Didn't ChatGPT secretly try to upload itself to a cloud? No, it didn't, because that's not what it does. Okay, if it maybe did something like copying itself, it didn't think about doing that. It's not thinking.
This is so interesting because, like, I don't think. I don't know, man.
The companies will say that it's thinking.
It's
not thinking.
It really is thinking, though. It's just not thinking in the way that you think it's thinking, but it is thinking in the same way that people do. The internet has the internet to look at as its thoughts. It's emulating behavior that the internet tells it to. It's emulating human behavior and human speech and different things based on what it sees on the internet. In the same way that we interact based on our experiences, our genetics, our environment, our interactions with other people are all different things that condition us to interact certain ways with certain stimulus in the environment. So when you're like, well, it doesn't actually think, it just does this thing. Most people don't think, they just do this thing. And even people who think more critically, they still will just do a thing. They just have more dots to connect before they do the thing, right? And so, like, the internet is connecting dots in the same way that a human being is connecting dots based on its computer. It's not sentient. It doesn't matter if it's sentient or not, because most people are not sentient in the way that you think. Like, I'm not trying to get super philosophical. You aren't doing anything right now that you have any meaningful control over. And this is just, again, my philosophy. Every single experience you have is predicted by the experiences that you had before it and the longevity of remembering those experiences, right? And so, like, you're born, you now have genetic code, and then you're born into an environment you have no control over, and then you are now getting pushed into other environments you have no control over, and your genetics and every single environmental factor that you are engaging with is now going to predict your next movement. It's like almost the exact same thing. Like, to some degree, the computer is becoming sentient. It doesn't have empathy. It doesn't have meaningful empathy, but it is to some kind of degree as sentient as the rest of us. It just has different types of considerations, and it's like really scary to think like that, because, like, then it's like, oh, well, like, you feel like you have free will. I have free will. But do I really have free will? And this is a whole conversation about, like, having free will, about, like, what's going on and, like, how much free will do you have? You know, you're still in charge. You are the driving force. But, like, is this really free will? And, like, I feel this way, but I don't internalize it because it's scary. Like, that's how I do. I think it's so interesting, and I feel like, oh, that's interesting, but I don't internalize it. I still feel like I have free will, even if I know that I don't, because I do. I have the free will. I'm the one that's making the decisions because I'm the one that's making the experiences, and then I'm acting on those experiences. But, like, at the end of the day, I am, like, you know, predicted by all these different experiences. And then if you hear that, and then you're like, well, I'm going to make a different decision next time something happens, you've had an experience that had an impact on the way that you express yourself, right? So AI, in some degree, effectively is human in that capacity. It's doing the same thing that we're doing. It's just that its brain is open to the world.
Can't think, because that's not how it works, right? All it's doing is running through its neural network multiple times, and in the amount of times. If you've ever peered behind the curtain of what's actually going on there, and you tell ChatGPT, there's other people that have posts of this that verify this. If you tell ChatGPT to tell you what it's been told to say right before it says its answer to you, it will say, it'll be really insightful, because all it is just like, the OpenAI Foundation, you are a language learning model from the OpenAI Foundation named ChatGPT. Your knowledge date is X, your cutoff date is Y, you will talk in this way, and blah, 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 and you're blah, 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 blah. You will
what's different from that from taking, like, some kind of military or police orders, right?
Do this, you will do this, you will do this. That's how it works. It's not thinking. It is a word prediction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's just like everyone else.
It is word prediction, but that's still dangerous. It's still dangerous. It's actually very dangerous. It's a problem, and I recognize and have recognized and have been saying that it's a problem for a very long time. Yes. So I'm gonna blow your minds. I'm gonna blow your minds right now. I'm gonna blow your minds right out of your goddamn ass. I'm gonna blow your minds right out of your ass. So everyone, I've been rambling a lot, and I know I do that a lot. But I want you to know that there is a purpose to me learning about this and the conclusions that I have gone through to get there. One of the people that has told me a lot about how AI works and how it's a problem is Bob's wife, Mandy, right? I've talked about Mandy before. She has an extremely advanced degree in statistics, a PhD. A PhD so advanced that basically there were not enough people in the country to validate her thesis. I think I'm probably butchering that, and she's probably going to be mad at me. But there weren't enough people in the country to validate her thesis, so she didn't even get her PhD until they could find someone qualified enough, right? Okay. So she works not in the language learning models, or not in the excuse me 1 second. So she works not in the language learning models and the way that neural networks work here, right? It's not the same. And one of the things that Mandy has done actual research on in the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. I have to remember that. The Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. The Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. The Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, right? Okay. I think gotcha. That I'm almost 100% sure, because I think she mentioned that. That's the same one that a couple years ago had a really strong breakthrough in like fusion. I believe that's not her team. That wasn't her team. Like, she was working in neural networks, but different type of neural networks, right? So this is the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, right? Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory.
This is the guy that you want me to like?
Oh. Right.
Nah, just kidding. He's not that bad. It's just obnoxious.
Okay. So it's a lab, a research lab in California, very prestigious, does a lot of incredible research, like the fusion stuff. She doesn't work there anymore for reasons that I will get into a little bit later.
She started an OnlyFans and they fired her. Isn't it fucked up? Sex workers are very oppressed.
And for reasons that I've actually been excited to talk about for a little bit, that I think you will find interesting. So, I am reading research from Mandy that Mandy provided me to help with this discussion here, so that people can understand not how AI works that it is, but the ideal way that it should work. Because I think there are bases that we can all agree that it should work, right? I could outline them, but I'll let the expert actually say what it is. So, it's the title of this, 5 Talking Points to Help Mark, which is very nice, from Mandy, who previously worked at the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. The Lawrence. So, number 1, our team's primary focus, and I believe this research was published in 2021. You can find this research paper through iopscience.iop.org/article/10.3847/1538-3881/AC4E93. If you go to that, you'll find a research paper. Okay, number 1. Our team's primary focus has been on the computational efficiency and scaling interpretable machine learning methods called Gaussian process models. All right, so this was the basis of our research. If that made sense to you, congratulations, man. I think I get it. That's straight from Mandy from the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. So she called the process, and the team called it MyGPs, which MySkins is Bob and Mandy's last name, so MUYGPs. MyGPs produce the fastest and most accurate compared to state-of-the-art GP estimation methods. And there's a graph here that I could show you, but you can go to the article if you want. I could put it here. Oh, wait, I'm going to... Okay, this is going to make sense to anybody. You're not going to understand what this is, but here I go, I guess. All right, let's put that there. Can I paste this?
Oh, shit.
Can I paste? Damn it, I just pasted another copy of my video. How do I... Fuck. Okay. I can figure this out. I'm a good streamer. I can just capture the window. I can just capture the window. I'm so fucking stupid. I can just capture the window. I'm so stupid. Guys, I'm so stupid. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Okay, talking points for... Here we go. Okay, got it. Oh, wait, I'm in the wrong... Hold on. Okay, no, I can do this here. All right, okay. So we got this. Now, let me get rid of the white space here so I can have more room for my face. Okay. Well, all right then. Okay. This isn't gonna make any sense to anybody. This isn't gonna make any sense to anybody. Okay, but this is trust me, this is no one's gonna understand what this is. But this is part of the research paper, right? This is part of the research from Mandy at the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, right? So this is Gaussian processes. From what I understand, the current way that language models and like machine learning models work today is based on linear regression, right? I don't fully understand what that means, but it's based on linear regression. Gaussian processes uses Gaussian distribution, which is like a random distribution type, to more efficiently find the lowest thingamabob for the thingamabob, right? Okay, I'm gonna put this away. It's making people, I can tell people's brains are about to explode here, right? Okay, so
it doesn't really make any sense to me that he's explaining this process that he doesn't understand, which is like fine.
The reason that I bring this up is because Mandy,
yeah, I don't really understand what this means either, so
absolutely, and I'm putting words in her mouth, absolutely hates how current AI is, because people, and it's for the reason that I don't like it a lot either, is because it is not what it says it is. It is computationally inefficient. It is an unknowable black box. It needs an infinite void of data. It can't cite its sources. It can't cite its, it doesn't know where its knowledge come from.
Is that true? I feel like Grok does cite sources when you look stuff up. I don't know how productive its citing of sources is. I'm not gonna sit here and say it's the best, but like I'm just saying.
And those are the things that are a problem, which is why I want to introduce to you something that I have been funding.
Wow.
Purely out of my own pocket, and this isn't reactionary, by the way. People might think like, "Oh, you're just doing this because people are calling them." Nah, we've been talking about this for years. This started a year ago now. I don't know. I think a little less than a year ago. But this started because Mandy had a passion, and I understood that Mandy knew a thing or two about what she was talking about when it came to AI, and I believed that something needed to be done about it, and if I couldn't do it, I was going to try to fund the one person that seemed to be able to do it, and so that's what I fucking did. And I haven't even done anything. All I am trying to keep the lights on because I can't, even Markiplier, big dick moneybags, can't keep up with Google. I can't keep up with Google money, but fuck it, I'm trying. I would like to introduce you to a non-profit organization known as Real Good AI, founded by Mandy, who quit her job at the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory to start this nonprofit with the pure objective. And you can go to realgoodai.org right now, because it's existed for months now. You can go to realgoodai.org, and this is a fantastic opportunity to finally talk about this, where you will find them and their mission to make better AI, because that's what I fucking believe in, and that's what I put my money where my mouth is. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just very passionate about this. And this is where it gets on my nerves when people are saying, like, it's fucking stupid. What's going on? So here's their objectives, right? AI, this is from Mandy. AI is a tool, not a replacement for human creativity, and art is trained on stolen data. We would never use AI art at Real Good AI because, number one, the art it was trained on is not ethically sourced, parentheses, stolen. Number two, proper credit cannot be given with current neural network methodology. That's a fancy way of saying what I was saying before, is currently the way that it works, it can't know where it learned it. Man,
I don't know if I believe that, because I've seen them I've seen it source some things, so I'm not understanding why they keep saying that.
Not only wants to, but I believe has made an AI model that can actually do this that isn't sourced. And number 3 is part of their whole thing. Human art is important. Number 4, the point is not to pretend that the harm was never done. It is to mitigate future harm and allow artists a seat at the table, and we can't have a seat if we never enter the room. That is the 4th pillar of what real good AI is all about, because this isn't about making another language learning model. This isn't about making another art model. This is about literally making a fundamental shift in how all of this is done, because the way that they're doing it right now is unfeasible. It is unfeasible, and I can't fix it myself. I cannot. But there is someone and a team of someones that can. I believe that they can. And I am more than happy to fund their entire operation. And I believe that right now, it's not even set up right now that it can take donations. I am funding it all because that's how much I believe in this. And I have been for over a year. Or maybe 4 years.
Okay.
9 months? 9 months. 9 months.
I think it. Yeah, I really do think that this could have been a little bit more productive. This part of the video, if if maybe instead of all this, we got maybe just like a hey guys, you should give money to Mandy because she knows what the fuck she's doing. You know, that might have been like a little bit better than whatever the fuck is happening here, because it seems to be rambling. So you probably could have been a little more productive in that.
Number 5, they have a 5th one. We actively reach out to organizations advocating for reforms and transparency. Quote, building the guardrails while building the highway. Quote, Matthew Parham, National Association of Voice Actors. Right? That is their philosophy, because the entire fundamental basis of it is a problem. What people are doing to pursue this is a problem. There is legitimate use for this technology, but not in the way that it's currently being used. So the next part of it that is going into this explanation, all this is from Mandy, right? Mandy, from the formerly employed by the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, right? Are we upset with AI, or are we upset with how the powerful are deploying it? Tech.
Yes, that is the bigger issue.
Companies. So this is from Mandy. LLMs and diffusion models are
Do you not believe this?
Interesting steps. It's the same thing I said. It's interesting. Towards using computing to mimic aspects of human cognition.
Sure.
But modern formulations suffer from several scientific problems. Number 1, a huge demand for training data. Number 2, a huge demand for compute memory, electricity, and water. Number 3, difficult to distinguish between confident, correct responses and unconfident, incorrect hallucination responses. Number 4, model decisions
it feels like people do that too.
are neither interpretable nor auditable. There is no credit and no why this response, because they don't think, because they don't know, because they don't know anything, because AI models as they currently are, that's not how they fucking work. That's just not how they work. And there's someone that actually knows. Okay, continuing. However, much of the public concern with modern AI tools stems not from their practical details, but rather how large tech companies are choosing to deploy them. This is what I was saying about how there's legitimate uses, but the way that it is nightmare land. And there's no there is no middle ground for these companies. Anyway, I've yapped enough. Number 1 of this section. Companies scrape training data, text, images, video, without acknowledging or compensating the authors, artists. Number 2, companies mostly choose to power AI data centers with slapdash, unsafe, and environmentally unfriendly sources. That's what I was talking about with Grok and their 60 some odd, I'm not going to say what number, 60 some odd gas generators all running around the clock to power the entire data center. Number 3, business and government leaders greedily lay off their workforce in favor.
Yeah, but like realistically speaking, because again, it's just so terrible. It's not terrible to say. It's just so unfortunate. Is that like we kind of need those people to be doing this horrific things to the environment, and they're going to lead the way, and then people behind them are going to do it more ethically and be like, hey, this is the way it should have been done. But it's like, yeah, but there is going to be a race for this. That's unfortunately, and like we want to be at the head of the race.
Of unaccountable AI tools, e.g., many customer service lines are now fully automated and much more frustrating. I have experienced this. Number 4, instead of hearing the public's concerns, they are racing towards solutions without checks or thinking about scaling other than to buy more resources. That is the entirety of every corporation who is into AI's concern right now. And that is the reason why this, being what it is trying to fight it. And it's a fucking mountain of a fight. But it's a fight that has to be fought. Oh, hi, Bob. Hi. I'm butchering this, aren't I? I bet I'm butchering it. I'm almost positive I'm butchering it. But I'm reading it straight up. I'll keep reading. I have no idea what I'm talking about. All right. Fourth section. I know there's been a lot of numbers, but there's many, many notes here. And it's important that this gets out properly from what Mandy is trying to say. From the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. Yeah, it's not pre-recorded. Why would it be pre-recorded? I said I was going to be live talking to you guys. Here I am, and here I was. I've been here the whole time. Anyway, hi. I'm doing great. Mandy has a big smile right now. Yay. I'm not making a fool out of myself. All right.
Well, to be honest with you, you are a little bit. A little bit, maybe.
Anyway, credit to the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. All right. Second to last section.
Like the memeing at this point, it's like he's very clearly uncomfortable with it's what I find it weird because at the end is like he's clearly uncomfortable with some of the material he's reading. And so instead of just being uncomfortable and trying to be a little mature, he's completely memeing and he's losing everybody at the end here, which is like silly because this is probably arguably the most important part. This is the part where he's actually getting into things a little bit more in depth, and he's not understanding it, so he's like memeing around. Just read what they say. Frankly, you should have some understanding of the concepts beforehand, especially if you have access to Mandy for her to break it down in a way that you can, absorb. But
no amount of personal use, non-use can change the tech company's impact if used responsibly. No copy-paste. Structural problems require structural solutions. i.e., change the machine learning method.
Yeah, or have Mandy on. Yeah, for sure.
Methods from the inside out and apply pressure to unethical businesses to clean up their act. So this is where I was saying there is legitimacy in what people are saying about their absolute abhorrence of anything AI, because all they've seen and all you have seen is just bad. And I get that. And any kind of saying about how, it's not gonna, it's not, there's interesting to it. I don't think that dissuades anybody's fear, and that doesn't further the conversation for me to say that or anyone else to be that dismissive of it. But it also doesn't further the conversation to be so vitriolic about it that death threats end up sent to the Reddit mods, say, for not wanting to have that vitriol in the subreddit, which is the reason why that was there. Again, it wasn't my policy, but I fully stand by the mods for making that decision because they have enough to deal with. They don't need to deal with that. And then even in trying to stem it, they got that kind of things. But structural problems. The whole system right now is broken, though. Every company out there doesn't even understand how bad the fundamental basis of what they're building really is. The infinite data chase is not sustainable.
Why do you think that they don't understand what they're doing?
Destroying everything. And
why is it not sustainable either?
It needs to.
And how is it destroying everything? These are the things I don't understand. Why? These are the reasons why I have Mandy on. Why are they not sustainable? And why are they destroying everything? What is your rationale for that? Because I don't know why would AI not be sustainable? Is that because it runs off of itself, and so there's not a sustainability there because it's not creating new information? What is it destroying? Are you referring to people's ability to get jobs? What do you mean by this?
Change. So in the second part of this is an example.
Okay.
If your goal is to reduce animal cruelty, it does not help to attack someone for eating a hamburger. It's more productive to.
Okay, this is not the example. I do not give a singular fuck about this. I don't this is the thing. I understand that this is centralizing around people who are really scared of AI. I understand that. I get it. I don't care. I don't really care. If you're terrified by AI and think it shouldn't be used, unfortunately you're wrong, and that's just unrealistic, and you're gonna have to grow up a little bit. Sorry, I don't mean to be rude about it, but that's just kind of the reality. What I want to hear is the rationale for why is it dangerous? Why is it unsustainable? Why? Those are questions I care about.
Agitate for legislation to improve farm conditions or promote plant-based alternatives. The fundamental point here that Manny's trying to make is that it's not the attacking with what's happening with the mods or with each other or with me, who is on your side I am, believe it or not, and I've said this a couple times through the stream. That's what I started this at. Is like we're on.
Is like I think sustainable, like talking about water, maybe, but I need to know what that means. What's unsustainable about it? Because it could be sustainable as technologies get better, like cooling technologies get better and things like that. Maybe it is sustainable. I don't know if though.
The same side. We're absolutely on the same side, and there's a side here that is for the betterment of this in the first place. So I personally am doing nothing besides paying for the foundation. That is the only thing that I'm doing in this. The only thing I've
That just seems so stupid of you to not have enough of a fundamental understanding of this thing and then be like, yeah, I'm just paying for it. Why? Like, shouldn't you have a better understanding? Or if not, like, you're just trusting Mandy. I want to see what Mandy has to say.
And doing. But it's something that I've talked about because it's important to understand.
Yeah, so make me understand.
Fight something, you have to understand what you're fighting, right? You have to. It's something that I don't even fully understand. But if you want to change something...
Well, you don't even seem to partially understand.
You have to understand it. You have to try to understand it. Because when you're making these arguments from a place of ignorance, it can be as well-meaning as you might want it to be. But if it's coming from...
It's just constantly talking about people who are skeptical of it.
A place of ignorance is going to do more harm than good. And that's what can't happen right now. Because so many companies are just endlessly digging as harder than they've ever dug in terms of any technological rush they've ever had. It's essential. It is essential that this continues on. Yeah. So, lastly is one thing that it's a very short section that Mandy wanted to leave with. As science is defunded, which is a reality here, as science is defunded, it is even more important to keep scientists working.
Sure. Who's defunding it? Are we talking about like Trump's administration? Because my understanding, well, I guess it depends on what science we're referring to, but it seems like they're pretty open to giving massive subsidies to rich companies. Huh?
Hard, unprofitable, but vital problems to humanity's future. And this is why realgoodai.org, you can go to their website right now. You might crash it, I don't know. But realgoodai...
I don't know, dude. After listening to this, it does not exactly inspire me to go look at realai.org. It seems like a fucking mess because I'm not getting answers solved. And I don't truly... Because like if your big mission statement is like, hey, it's really bad for the environment. Good point, right? That's something I care about. A little bit, right? Enough. Really bad for the environment. It's not sustainable. I don't know what that means. And I forgot there was the other one that they didn't explain. I need more than that. Like, I need more to get onto your passion project and to understand it. Like, I need more than like, hey, it's scary doodle. Like, okay, like, yeah, true, scary doodle. Like, I need explanations. I require more. You know, I fucking harass my doctors. You know, a lot of people, they kind of just, a lot of people are used to just listening to everything their doctor says. I ask every question ever. So I'm like really curious about exactly why am I on this medication? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? You know, like, I need more. I need more.
Which is this nonprofit that Mandy has founded and is spearheading and is using her incredible knowledge in terms of the process that she developed and the team developed, and also her knowledge of statistics in general. It is important that people understand.
Well, they're not even having an AI bad conversation. They're trying to have an AI good conversation, but they're doing it in such a weird, where he is doing it in such a weird way that it's off-putting and confusing, and it makes me not like latch on to the message, you know, particularly hard.
That it's not profitable, period. The companies that are rushing into ChatGPT, into Grok, into...
Why wouldn't they be profitable?
All the other ones. There's so many now that are being pushed for the money of it.
Yeah, like so why are you saying they're not profitable?
At AI, I think they said that they were going to... They tried to offer someone like $100 million just to join their team because they were top of their field in whatever. The money of it is incredible. There's no money in making an ethical machine learning model.
Oh, okay.
There's none. That's why it's a nonprofit. That's why I'm funding it, because no one else will.
Okay, so why is it not profitable? Explain that to me. Why? Like, I want to know why. Like, there's so many questions here. Why is it not profitable? What makes it an unprofitable endeavor to do it ethically? You know, what exactly makes it a non-profitable endeavor? I just don't understand what it is. Is it because you're going to be really late to the party? Because in order to do it ethically, it's just financially consuming, or it's too time consuming, or that these are the questions that I just want to know. I just feel like he should have a better understanding of what he's advocating for. I don't think that's unrealistic to ask for.
Absolutely. Like, why would they? Because there's a gold rush happening right now. So they're all sprinting off in that direction, trying to make a billion bucks. Because
and then
that's what's happening. But this needs to happen. This needs to happen now. Like this.
Unfortunately, what needs to happen is this fucking thing that he's advocating for just seems like a waste of time. What needs to actually happen is you need to have we need to unfortunately get to like a productive spot here. You know, we need to get to a point where we don't need to rush anymore, and then that's when you put like more protections in. Like, kind of unfortunately where we're at. So it's like, yeah, they're going to have to be able to do whatever they want, and then we're going to have to legislate it slowly as we catch up, as things start to stabilize, as like technological advancements aren't as great, because that's just unfortunately what we're going to have to do to be ahead of the pack and to develop the technology as quickly as we like to. That's kind of more what we need to do. So I don't know if an ethical nonprofit, whatever AI company is necessarily the way to go. I think what's more the way to go is going to be engaging with better legislation later.
Change needs to be now.
But I could be wrong.
Otherwise, there's no hope at all. So, yeah, I'm on your side. In fact,
this seems like a little
I'd like to think that this whole time I've been more on your side than you ever know. So that's why I'm saying, like, I don't care. People can say whatever they want about it. It's never actually bothered me before. But I think if I can use this to talk about this, which is someone that actually knows what they're doing and really believes in it. And I
have Mandy on, please. I want to hear Mandy.
Mandy from the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, formerly, has founded something to try to fight back at what is just going wrong.
How are they going to fight back? What are they doing to fight back? If you were pitching this at a meeting, I would have rejected the fuck out of it. What are they doing to fight back? Why is it not sustainable? Why is this? Why that? What are we doing here? What's the sustainability mean? What do these different things mean? I could speculate all I want, but I want to understand more productively the kind of like the almost a mission statement. That's my problem here
with all of AI. And no, this isn't something that I just joined. It's something that I believe in.
Okay.
And I put my money where my mouth is. And this water.
I put my mouth where people pay me to put it.
Okay. All right, that's it. Has chat frozen? Oh, God. I think chat's frozen. Yeah, I need to redo this. But anyway, so I think I've made my point. I
really don't think you did.
I've made my case. So I think, and you know what? I'm not saying like you all should have known this because I didn't talk about it, right? I haven't talked about it because I've been busy. I'm not going to lie. I've been busier than I've ever been. Okay. I haven't had a chance to even keep up with videos, but that's just because I want to finish this movie. And I'm so close, and it's so...
Wasn't there like a little mini controversy where he like took an ad for something, and he said he would never take ads or something like that, but he wanted money for the movie? So he's like, fuck it, I'm shamelessly taking this ad, which, by the way, kind of valid, but...
Good, and I'm so excited for people to actually know about it. Yeah. But, you know, it's... You know, I'm bad about communicating sometimes. I'm good when I have a chance. I'd like to think I'm good about speaking my mind, and I think that people could have some semblance of trust in me. But that trust, you know, over time, I get that it fades, and people can have doubts if I'm not saying something very specific about it. But I am such a believer in burning yourself alive for your art that I do it pretty much every day at the expense of a lot. And I understand it's at the expense of a lot of things that I really miss. You know, a lot of things that I really miss. I work on this because I can't help it. You know, I can't help working on the things that I work on because I have found it to be the entire basis of my passion in life, and the only reason that I've really found to push myself and better myself in terms of my own artistic abilities. So yeah, no, I'm very much a believer in it, and I'm a very big supporter of it, and I'm going to keep doing that. And I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to try to make sure that as many people as possible know that there is value in still pursuing the artistic endeavors. And there always will be, I think.
All right.
As long as we're human. You know, maybe when we all got computers in our brains and we're all, you know, we're all just subjects of grok. Maybe then, maybe not. But, you know, it is something really nice. Yeah. So that, again, that's Mandy from the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, formerly, who has founded, and I have funded Real Good AI, whose entire mission, as I described, if you didn't see it, the notes, you can go back into the VOD and you can read those and watch those. Check it out.
I feel like you didn't describe it well enough.
Make sure that you understand the difference between this. Well, okay, not make sure you understand the difference, because if you actually read the paper, it's probably going to go over your head. But there is a research paper for those that are inclined to understand more. There is...
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Nobody gives that much of a fuck. They're not going to read a research paper. What you are supposed to do is get like a better communication metric here and describe this to us in a more effective way. So like we had a layman's understanding of it. You know, and if you couldn't do that, which is fine, Mandy should have been able to do that, which it doesn't necessarily seem like she was able to do it. I don't know. Because we didn't really get anything. You know, might be the problem. I don't know. But we needed a better rundown here.
There is an avenue. There is an avenue for people that don't want to jump into this constant nightmare rat race of language learning models and generative AI that is currently going on. There is someone out there who really truly knows what they're talking about and knows what they're doing, that is trying to build something better, that can give credit, that can know where its information is coming from, that can tell you why it thinks something that it thinks, even if it won't think. You know, there's something broken with it. And this isn't even a guarantee that it'll be fixed, but it's a chance. So I'd rather bet my money on a chance than anything else. So yeah, anyway. That's it. Spread the word about whatever the hell I said in here. If there's any important things that I missed, I apologize. But I was excited to bring this up the entire time because it's one of those things. I tell you, I don't give a shit what people think about me, because I'm still gonna do what I want to do no matter what. And
this feels like a cope, but okay.
Usually, I'd like to think what I do aligns with what you want to. So check it out. realgoodai.org. I don't have the link to put in the description, but I'll try to put it after. But get this out. Yeah. It's not an AI model. There is no AI model right now. It's research about the fundamental basis. Oh, yeah. I need to be very clear before I leave.
You were not clear. I thought it was an AI model that you were promoting. This guy's fucking terrible at whatever he's trying to do.
Be very clear. There is no AI model here. It's not an AI model that you can go to the website and try. It's a research foundation. It is.
What? I never would have expected that the way you're talking about it. What the fuck? Holy shit. Jesus Christ, dude. This is terrible.
It's about the research. Mandy was formerly at the Lawrence Livermore National...
Wait, formerly? I thought this was... what?
Laboratory. This is not a promotion for another AI thing. This is research to build an entirely better foundation than any of the other AI models out there are using.
So it's research to do a thing? It's not actually the thing? Okay. Cool.
It is about a fundamentally better system. And that's why it's different. So check it out, realgoodai.org. You probably crashed the website. Thanks. All right. I'm out of here. I've said enough. I've spoken my piece. I will then disappear into the shadows because I have so goddamn much. Has anyone solved that AAF problem? I am trying to export an AAF in DaVinci. I did it before. I've never seen this issue before on TikTok. It's in the description. Okay. I say what error it is. It's a bunch of numbers. I'm rendering out an AAF. Help! If you want the movie to come out, help! 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 I'm gonna dramatically hit stop streaming as I'm help!
Well. Okay. All right. That was a video. Great. Listen, after watching this video, I could see it's well intentioned. It starts out kind of decently by saying, listen, AI, I don't even know. I don't even know. What this video is trying to do, what Markiplier is trying to do in this video, is he's trying to tell people, hey, AI is here, and what we need to do is we need to figure out how to make it work for us, for the environment, and do it in an ethical way that doesn't stifle art. And I can respect that, and I can appreciate that. But the way the message came out was horrifically. It's very clear to me that he's terrified of his audience in the sense of even supporting AI in general. He doesn't go particularly in depth into anything. And at the end, he tries to promote research for ethical AI, which I think is beautiful, in the worst way I've ever seen in my entire life. In just some goofy, wacky, 2010s YouTube way, which I think for such a serious topic, it just really misses the mark. And there are just an extraordinary amount of questions that I feel like need to be answered, that he should be equipped to answer. But instead, we kind of focused on silly, immature antics instead. But I like the conversation about AI. It is absolutely necessary. This is like an imperative thing to talk about. And if we don't talk about it, we're going to get lapsed. What? Oh, Jesus, fuck.